a threat. And one of the things that can't be attacked is your self-custody Bitcoin. And one of the things that can be attacked is the ETF. You can't be exposed to that. That's my view. It's not a good idea. And by the way, that'll hit MSTR too. It'll probably hit other stuff as well.
Friends and enemies, welcome back. Canadian Bitcoiners podcast.
Friends and enemies, welcome to the CBP. Wanna be better informed? Listen to Len and Joey. Sponsors taken care of right off the top. Bull, Bitcoin, and easy DNS. The media is feeding the slop. It doesn't matter what topics discussed. Quality entertainment and information you can trust.
That's being planned or at least discussed. You know, we're not going to allow
quality
people to buy
entertainment and information you can trust. Send the guy some value, boost them with some stats. Bitcoin is a scarcity asset. I mean, it's just a fact. Geopolitical, national, down to the local cloud.
Friends and enemies, welcome back to the Canadian Bitcoiners podcast. It's budget week, Len. Tomorrow is the big day. We're having a budget the first time in 500 days. 500 days. What else has not happened in 500 days?
The Leafs haven't won a Stanley Cup. The Jays haven't won the World Series.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's about it.
We're going to talk about all this tonight. We got to talk about Canadian stablecoins. I don't know whose idea that was. We got to talk about rate cuts. We got to talk about all the stuff that matters to Bitcoiners. Maybe even core versus knots again. Len's
that's coming up on Wednesday. That's not coming up today.
we'll talk about Wednesday as well. Let's talk about the sponsors. EasyDNS, the best place for you to buy, port. Can you borrow a domain? Probably not. But you can get a domain off of Mark easily or bring yours over to a competent DNS provider. Mark is certainly that. If you want to get over there and protect your domain, protect your data, easy mail, domain, sure. A couple extra bucks a month, really worth it given the number of hacks, breaches, nightmare scenarios where people are leaking their data and their customers' data, more importantly, to the wider internet, being sold in the dark web for the cost of Raising Cane's chicken finger combo. Mark doesn't worry about that stuff. Why? Because he's competent, knows what he's doing. And we hope that you guys will use him if you want any of that stuff done. Not to mention if you're a Bitcoiner, lots of virtual private server options. What can you do, Len? VPN, I should say, Nostr Relay Bitcoin node. And then as well, if you're an enthusiast, some other virtual private server stuff for you. If you like, you can just go over there and find out more. Mark will tell you. What's the code? CBP Media. 50% off your first round of buys. So load up the cart. Get over there and patronize our sponsors. Len is adjusting wires. Who's the second sponsor?
I was just moving a controller out of the way. No, it's a Bull Bitcoin, right? Non-custodial exchange. This is what you want when you're dealing with your Bitcoin buys. We'll be talking about why you don't want to deal with custodial exchanges in today's show. You buy Lightning, you go buy on-chain. Still, fees are rather cheap. So on-chain is the way to go. But a lot of different options you could do. You could do reoccurring buys. You could do limit orders. You could do auto buys. Not many non-custodial exchanges offer this. Not many custodial exchanges offer this as well. You could pay bills. Check them out. They're available in Canada, Mexico, Argentina, Costa Rica, El Salvador. Is El Salvador on the list? I believe so.
I don't remember.
Oh, Western Europe.
Pablo and Guillaume are both in the chat. They can correct us. We can only do so much.
Either way, these guys are taking over the world. And because the reason why is people want their services. People want to buy Bitcoin from somebody that provides safe and secure way of buying Bitcoin. And Bull Bitcoin provides that for you. Check them out. If you use our code below, and by signing up using that, you get in perpetuity. It's going to be a little bit less costly to do your buys and sells. So check them out wherever you are in the world, as long as you're not in the United States. Unfortunately, you're screwed.
Can't beat it. Pablo and Guillaume both say no, not in El Salvador. Not yet. Anyway.
Let's get El Salvador on the list.
Not yet.
We haven't talked about El Salvador in a while, but whatever.
What is there to say, really? You want to do some boosts and we'll do some housekeeping and get rolling?
Boosts, yeah. Wartime, 133 sats. Sip and rip. A couple of beer mugs.
Love it.
Sip and rip.
Yeah.
Doug writes 525 sats. Great rip, Joey, for the sip and rip. 100% on the money. Or to be more specific, where tax dollars are going. And I'm going to mention that later on in today's show. I got an interesting revelation of where some of this may be going. And tomorrow, we're going to get at very specific details. So budget day tomorrow.
First time in a long time. During the sip and rip, I was going to do a bunch of different stuff, but I ended up focusing on the SNAP benefits in the States, the food stamps.
Oh
And,
my god! Did
pretty
you see
wild,
that?
pretty wild stuff. Yeah, I put together a bunch of good data that I've seen from Twitter in the last little while and some other facts and figures. Did you know, Len,
Mhm.
the average woman in the United States not on government assistance weighs 146 pounds? Do you know what the average woman on government food stamps weighs?
210.
211. Yeah,
Oh fuck! I was
Yeah.
within a pound.
211.
Fuck.
So I mean,
Fuck.
they're not buying. Like I said this on the show that I put out on Sunday. You should go listen to it. It's only like those are only gonna ever be like 20 minutes max. The people on a government assistance for more than, I don't know, 5 years should just be shipped like chicken, broccoli, and rice. No money, no going on Amazon or DoorDash. Like, eat well and find a job after a couple of years. There's none of this horse shit. 30 years on Snap and they're cutting my benefits. What am I going to do? Why you been on Snap for 30 years, bro? Come on. Like, enough is enough. Anyway,
Times are tough.
already. Yeah, sure. 30 years.
It's just, it's the market conditions aren't favorable for those folks. Oh, somebody was showing anecdotal evidence of what's going on in Walmart as of November 1st when things ran out.
Yeah. Empty.
Shelves were full.
Shocker.
People
haven't seen any confrontational videos shared online of low IQ shoppers going crazy in Walmarts all over the United States. Yeah, shocking.
Shopping carts weren't overloaded. It was basically what you were able to afford. It was almost like living on a Bitcoin standard, right? Like you could only buy what you have, nothing more, nothing less. Anyways, Jer writes in 4,000 sats. He says 2 legends, and that's with me and Mr. Arnome, who I want to thank for coming on a show last week. He's took some time out of his day to do that. And if you haven't listened to that, if you want to learn a little bit more about BIP 444 and a potential upcoming fork, definitely recommend listening to that. He is very opinionated. He's been around this game for some time, so I think you'd like it if you're interested in that topic.
Even if you're not interested, Arnome and Len make it accessible, number one, but also Gnome is a NIM. And so he is, like Len said, rather opinionated and not afraid to speak his mind on any subject. So yeah, good show there. Good show there. Any other boosts?
2 more. Hammer Town OG, 2,500 sats. Hammer Town OG.
My colleague?
You bumped into him. Maybe. He says, you guys are right. UBIs are a dangerously bad concept. In the not too distant future, people will become dependent on their UBI and will be in a form of a CBDC and digital ID and wallet. Step out of line, protest the government, and your wallet ID and funds will be turned off and inaccessible.
What did CBC tweet today, right? Or yesterday?
What did they tweet today?
We need to do automatic tax filing because it could help ease in UBI payments.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I didn't even know.
Like, these people are working against you and they're working together. And I can't stress it enough.
Last but not least, we have Business Cat 5555 sats. Thank you.
Bless BC.
He writes in, Oliver Anthony said it perfectly in Rich Men North of Richmond. God, if you're 5'3" and 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds.
Yeah. It is true. Like, I don't know how else you could. I am very anti-fat. I'm a big anti-fat guy, but anyway, yeah, that's the boost. Before we talk about the show schedule, I want to thank Corey, Hodler's official. I ordered a basketball or baseball jersey from him, and because he made us custom shirts. He made Len and I custom shirts with our logo on them. They're very nice. And I said, I've been meaning to buy one of these jerseys. I got to get my hands on one. It's the least I could do. I bought the jersey. He sent me a bunch of stuff. Some stuff that I ended up giving to Len that, maybe we'll pass along to other people in time, or save for our kids or something, in the Bitcoin way. It's just amazing the stuff that Bitcoiners do when they're in a position to show gratitude. And like, we see it in the boost, and Len and I do it. We give our time to a lot of different places and a lot of different shows, and Len has given his time to people doing stuff that I would never do because it's time consuming, and it's amazing the generosity that comes from this community when there's value given for free. The podcast doesn't cost anything to consume. We don't charge a monthly fee for people who listen. And it seems to me that that's a common thing in Bitcoin. So I want to thank Corey. And if you haven't picked up anything from Hodler's official yet, you ought to have, because he's making really good stuff. Everything he sells is top notch. And I wore my Noster shirt to work the other day, and a couple of people pointed it out. Len, our friend Manny Monero, and a couple other people like the design, even if they didn't know what the Noster thing was all about. So super cool, super cool.
Would have expected him to know what Noster is.
He did, but the other people didn't. But they just like the design.
To Nostrich, he doesn't.
Yeah,
that's it for my boosts. I have nothing else to say. Well, actually, Wednesday we might have.
Yeah,
a
what
show.
are you doing Wednesday? Yeah,
there may be a show. I'm not sure if it's going to happen. Given
it sounds like it in the group chat, Len. It's getting pretty heated in there.
That's what I'm getting at. I think that things may come to blow, and they just fuck it. They'll say fuck it. But either way, we might have Praveen come on, and we'd have Huddle D.
Huddle D, Praveen, and maybe Twan. I think Twan is doing an install that day, he said, so he can't do it. But
they'll be talking about potential fork, soft or hard, BIP 444, op return, core version 30 knots, whole bunch of things. And it's going to be a discussion, not a debate, a discussion more than anything else.
I have one more thing to add. A doctor, a surgeon, approached me on the second day of the conference a couple of weeks ago and wanted to talk about a decentralized network of doctors working for Bitcoin or incorporating Bitcoin into their practice. And
if I can give you stories about what's going on,
the
healthcare system is nuts.
I can't find the card you gave me, sir. I looked in my bag. I looked in my jeans. I got sick during that travel back home. I was in a bit of a daze. If you listen to the show every day or every week or whatever, send me a message. Either on Instagram, or my Instagram is at Joey Grams, all one word. And you can send me a message there and I'll answer it, even if we don't follow each other. It doesn't go for everyone else. And the other place you can reach me is at cbpjoey@gmail.com. Either one is fine. I will see the message. That's assuming I continue to have trouble finding this card. But I thought about it today, and I really want to talk to you about the stuff we discussed, but I have no way to get a hold of you. So if you're listening, reach out.
Let's go on. The less I say about Canadian healthcare, the better. Go straight to Bitcoin stories.
Sure, man.
All right. We have the Canadian budget coming out tomorrow, right? And that's going to come around 4 o'clock. The dude got new shoes today. Not sure if you saw. I did. Yeah. Well, I don't want to get into too many specifics because we don't have anything that's been laid out just yet. So going too deep on this topic just doesn't make sense. But still, I want to just briefly touch on something because there are multiple reports out there, and they're saying that there may be something in the budget with respect to stablecoins and new rules and regulations surrounding it. And remember, in June of this year, we had the U.S. release the Genius Act, and that helped define regulations about issuance of stablecoins and how to deal with anti-money laundering rules. So all that shit along those lines. Canada is simply trying to keep up with the Joneses in this case. And it makes sense. The big question that still needs to be resolved with stablecoins is right now it's considered a security.
Mm-hmm.
And the question is, should it be morphed into something that could be like as a payment, like a cash, like cash can be used? And if that's the case, then it's no longer a security. And Canada is going to be looking at this. I can't wait to see how they're going to be designing this. But it looks like that there's going to be some people, if they're looking or expecting something very big here, they may be disappointed from what I'm gathering from these reports. And if you're digging into the story, Globe and Mail was mentioning that a Canadian company called Tetra was going to launch a Canadian stablecoin in 2026.
Yeah.
And another company called Loon is hoping to do the same thing this year after they bought up the CADC stablecoin.
They have funding too, by the way, VC funding in both cases. Yeah, they both
millions and millions.
Yeah.
The timing of this, of buying up that company, that stablecoin company CADC, and also Tetra releasing one, I don't think it's a coincidence. I think that they have some, I don't want to say inside knowledge, but they see which way the winds are blowing. And there seems to be a race here, a digital race, as to get these Canadian stablecoins out there. And you've mentioned it many a time that there's potentially a connection between a stablecoin and a CBDC.
Totally.
And if we believe that to be the case, then we may be witnessing the birth of a pseudo CBDC within Canada as a result of this, plus the regulation that's going to be coming out. So that's all I could say, because like I said, the budget comes out tomorrow, and anything more, it's just, I'm just speculating, and I could be looking like a total fool because they could just throw a curveball and do something else. I don't fucking know. We'll see tomorrow.
We can talk about the budget a bit. I just want to maybe knock out one thing on CBDCs first. The reason the CBDCs are so prevalent for governments now is because there needs to be a demand, or CBDCs for stablecoins, I should say, is so prevalent, is because there needs to be demand for debt. And every economist now is on the same page that Bitcoiners have been on for 10 years, that at some point, the debt is no longer a feasible investment by institutions, foreign governments, whatever, because the currency is weakening too quickly. There's no guarantee you're going to get your principal back, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so you see the long end of the curve going up. I expect tomorrow to see competent commentators, guys like Mike Campbell, Rich Diaz, Stretsky, and Dicker over at Looney Hour. We will talk about it. A few other people, I'm sure, will talk about it. That's really the key thing about the budget. And the reason you want a stablecoin is because then you can force the issuer to buy the bonds to back the printed stablecoin balances. And, we've seen this over and over again in the U.S. messaging, that what we want is to drive demand for U.S. treasuries. And how are we going to do it? We're going to bring the issuers on shore. We're going to force them to hold treasuries. We're going to force them to hold dollars. And then we're going to use foreign buyers to drive demand. The question for me remains the same. I've said it on this show. I think I've said it other places too. If you have access to a US dollar stablecoin and a CAD stablecoin, you will go to the US dollar stablecoin. It's a stronger currency. It's the cleanest dirty shirt. And, pick your sort of phrase, your descriptor. It leaves me wondering how the government is going to force the CAD stablecoin on the population, because it will have to be forced. I don't know.
I don't have an answer.
I don't know.
I really don't care, to be honest. For whatever reason, this is a topic that just does.
Oh, we lose Len. Who did we lose there? Me or Len? I don't know. But the thing I would say is that if I was a stablecoin issuer, that would be my question for sure. Is where are we getting the sort of demand for this stablecoin? Is it me that's gone, or you that's gone? Someone in the chat tell me. I have no idea. This is so funny. I have no idea if we're still on here or not. But anyway, hello, is anyone there? Len's gone. Okay. Well, listen. The other problem that with speculating on the budget is clear. You're back now, Len. I see you. The other problem with speculating on the budget is that I think there's been a lot of trial balloons floated. Like you can see in the press, there's a lot of people talking about how big the deficit's going to be, 60 billion, 70 billion, 80 billion. It's going to investment, not spending, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. But would it surprise you as an observer of Canadian politics and as a observer of the cunning of Carney if the deficit ended up being a lot lower than what the sort of projected numbers have been from the Fraser Institute and from other, let's call them right-leaning think tanks and academic groups? Would it surprise you if it was a little lower so they can kind of hang their hat on it?
Nothing will surprise. Well, it wouldn't surprise me. Now, let's take it a different style. It's a different question. What do you think it's going to be? Do you think it's going to be north of $70 billion? Is it likely?
Yeah,
questionable?
I think 70 is a number, to your point, and I also think that but I think that what they're going to do is try and phrase it and say the investment is half of that, and the spending is the other half. We're reducing the operational, expenditure by 50% or whatever, but really it's just moving to the other side of the ledger. And so if
the money is spent in a proper, and I mentioned this to Noam last week, hypothetically, if they cut back a lot on foreign investment and they start spending a lot domestically on stuff like maybe improving rails, shit like stuff that could tangibly improve our lives. It's hard to say that that's, if you're going to go into debt, I think that's the best way to go into debt.
I agree. There's infrastructure needs. Yeah, totally.
So, and that would potentially create new jobs here, and it would just maybe not long term it would work out, but at least in the short term it would certainly help things. I wouldn't look at that and say that's fucking terrible. I wish they didn't have a deficit and they didn't add to the debt, but if you're gonna have to do it, I mean, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Sure,
I
but-
mean, my other concern is just like what government projects have gone well over the last 30 years, really, you know, like every major roadway, railway, bridge, like you name it, they're not well built. They're certainly not done on time and under budget. And now then you have this additional concern where if you do choose to use temporary workers or international workers, like they're shitty at their jobs. There's no debating this at this point. Everyone can see that this is the case. And so, you know, is the likelihood that the Canadian jobs that are given out are going to be given to Conestoga grads, or are we going to actually do unionized construction? You know, is it going to be TAC and Dufferin and all these other big companies doing the work, or is it going to be Sing and Associates building those highways? I don't know. And I realize people will say, well, that's not really fair to characterize them. Yes, it is. Don't be stupid. We've seen this over and over again. So I have that concern. My other big concern is that there's going to be more finessing in the budget about this military spending. We've talked about that too. I'll remind people that 5% of the budget now has to go to military spending to meet NATO requirements. And I think the thing that people are missing, and honestly, it drives me nuts to see like Northern Perspectives and that guy in Alberta who does the podcast every day. Like they're tweeting out 10 tweet threads about how we don't have the money. Taxes are going to go up. That's like the dumbest shit I've ever seen. Okay. All they're going to do, and they're doing it already, is say, well, spending of this nature is military spending, whether it's, adding to the ship fleet to the Coast Guard, or building, new bases, or whatever, adding salary to underpaid military. Like that's all military spending. And as a percentage of GDP, yeah, it goes up. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to see more taxes. What you're getting again is balance sheet gymnastics. And like all this stuff, I think it's going to take a lot to parse what's in that budget compared to years past.
Whatever. What am I? I don't.
We'll find out.
Are we
going to do anything tomorrow night? I'm probably not going to, but I will be.
No,
I will be listening to the delivery of the budget. Who's doing it? I guess Champagne is doing it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. I'm not sure Carney's going to be here. I think he's still in Asia, right? He wasn't in the house today. At least I looked at it for 5 minutes. He wasn't there.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
No, he certainly wasn't there. No, because Polyev was at the beginning. So he's probably still in Asia. By the way, he apologized. So good for him. Anyway, let's talk more about Bitcoin. And we'll talk about Japan. Let's go over there. Since we talked about Carney in Asia, let's talk about Japan. And Japan has entered into the Bitcoin mining game. And they have a Japanese utility company called Tokyo Electric Power Company Holdings Incorporated. And that is publicly traded, by the way. And it's one of the largest power companies in Japan. And they've been purchasing units from Canon, and that's the ASICs producer. And TEPCO, which is the company I mentioned, is the acronym for it. They've been previously experimenting with Bitcoin mining through one of their subsidiaries using surplus renewable energy. So they're no strangers to this whole mining game. Back in September 2024, their subsidiary Agile Energy X, they've been testing on a small scale of Bitcoin mining to prevent renewable energy from being wasted. So they were converting excess solar and wind generation into Bitcoin rather than curtailing output during periods of low demand. And these tests, they have been successful enough that the parent company wants to ramp up things. So TEPCO is buying up ASICs. And there's a connection between TEPCO and the Japanese government, because the Japanese government owns a portion of this company.
Shocking. In Japan? No.
Yeah. So you have a direct linkage to the Japanese government that is now mining Bitcoin. And they are going to be using the hydro-cooled Avalon A1566HA servers. And they're going to be used to, quote, stabilize regional power grid load through controlled overclocking and underclocking. And we've talked about this quite a bit. So they're going to be dynamically adjusting the hash rate depending on the needs and the voltage to balance the energy in real time. And plan to have this up and running by the end of 2025. And the president of Agile Energy, that's their subsidiary, was saying Bitcoin mining can incentivize renewable energy projects and growth to provide producers with additional energy streams, and it can provide further profits to encourage further investments in clean energy. And so you have this loop here that you're going to have more and more energy being generated. And what are you going to do with that energy? Well, let's potentially use the excess to mine Bitcoin. Here you go. We now have Japanese government mining Bitcoin. Thoughts?
I don't know. Bitcoin mining is cutthroat. Seen miners collapse a number of times over the years. CleanSpark capitulated recently.
Did they really?
Yeah.
CleanSpark, they had a fucking massive run.
I think they capitulated. Iron today signed a deal with I think Amazon or Microsoft. They're going to do AI predominantly with a sort of side gig in mining. So I like mining is a difficult business, and I think we've been saying on this show for a long time. We stopped talking to miners on the program for exactly that reason, because it seemed to me like a lot of them wanted to pump their stock. And as much as I like guys like Ben Gagnon and Jeff Lucas over at Bitfarms, and there are others as well who I think are good people and honest dealers, but it is very difficult to make money mining. Very difficult.
I think you're looking at from a lens that probably you shouldn't be looking at. You should look at it from a different way. Look at it as a power producer, right? And you have the ability to generate power.
You're still better off doing HPC, not mining. The HPC compute is more valuable, and you're not a forced seller of HPC when the price goes down, and it doesn't make sense to do that as your primary focus. And I think a lot of industrial miners are going to find this over the next few years, and I think what's going to happen is the majority of that pie is going to shift to HPC, and they'll do some mining when the price is right, but they'll do HPC as a focus, and that'll be the selling point for the stock. It'll be the selling point for the investors. It'll be the selling point for acquirers, and I expect this to continue. The real question I have about Japan, though, and the thing that I think is interesting, obviously Japan's financial markets are a little bit backwards, right? The government owns almost all the debt and almost all the companies. And so I'm curious if this is a response to what they view as a problem on the horizon, or if they just happen to have stake in a company that's going this direction for purely fiduciary reasons, right? I don't know which it is. And I don't think anyone does.
The latter. That's my guess. But to go back, and I have to also plead a little bit of ignorance here, because I don't know exactly how HPC works in totality. But if, from what I do gather, and anybody, including yourself, correct me if I'm wrong, there's got to be a consistent output, right? You're not dynamically ramping things up or down. And that's what Bitcoin mining has the ability to do. So that's what they're using the Bitcoin mining in this particular case. So I'm not sure if the high performance computing could work in that environment. Maybe it can. I don't know, because I'm just not totally familiar with that side of things. But if it can't, then Bitcoin mining certainly makes sense.
Yeah, the question is what percentage of your pie should be mining? It's not about whether you can ramp up or down. Of course, I think every HPC company will have some mining. I don't think they're going all HPC. I don't think that makes a lot of sense. But the question is how much. And so, I wonder if we revisit this in a year or 2 years, or maybe after the next halving, maybe that's the right time to look at it again. And you can look at a bunch of miners that time, probably. What does their operation look like then? Is it still a mining story, or is it we had trouble picking up new ASICs, we had trouble getting server racks, we had trouble getting power for crypto mining, whereas AI didn't have the same issues, the same roadblocks, same bureaucracy problems? These are all things to consider, right? And so the other thing too, is AI going to slow down in terms of use and adoption? I don't think it's going to, unfortunately, for a lot of different reasons, but won't get into that. Meanwhile, there is a guarantee that mining is basically unprofitable for the smallest participants, of which these guys are one. And so what happens when the mining becomes unprofitable? Like, you can almost already see the roadmap because you've seen it before. There's precedent for how this ends up looking, right? The question is, how much is the government willing to backstop or support when things get tough? And that's
they have no
that's the thing I don't have an
shareholders.
answer to. Yeah.
They have no shareholder. And if
You
they
know?
could, if the energy that is excess energy, they had no way to use it, and so just might as well monetize it somehow. And if it's periodic, it's not consistent,
Mm.
and there are times where they probably would be in deficit, then I don't know, maybe Bitcoin mining does make sense. A lot of questions that need to be answered, but I like the fact that we have now power producers that are state owned are looking into Bitcoin mining.
Yeah.
This
that is
does
true.
make sense.
Yeah.
And it gives them the ability to ramp things up and scale things out even further. And one thing, if you look at the chart, you look at power production and the how well countries do. There's a correlation between wealth of the country and how much energy they produce. There's and the countries that make fuck all in terms of energy, they don't do very well. Their economy tends to lag behind. But all right, let's go to Australia. We're going all over the world. So Australian police, they were able to nab 5.9 million in crypto from a quote unquote well-connected alleged criminal. So this doesn't, doesn't seem like a crazy story on the surface.
Why are we laughing at this? Go ahead, finish this.
It is funny, but there's a story here that people should take and learn from. So it really isn't a crazy story, but as you dig a little bit, it looks like you may, learn something here. The person in question was selling a tech type product to alleged criminals. Maybe it's Pegasus selling it to.
If you don't listen to Access of Easy, you may not know what Pegasus is. You ought to be listening to that show too.
Absolutely, yeah. So, but the person had password protected notes on his mobile device when he was nabbed by police, and police were able to identify an image containing random numbers and words. And numbers were divided into 6 groups with over 50 combinations. And an Australian forensics team, they determined this could be related to a crypto wallet. And he didn't want to hand over the keys to this crypto wallet. And by doing so, he is basically going to land himself up to 10 years in jail. So as per law, you have to hand over the keys when you're caught in these types of things. If not, potentially 10 years. So I guess he was trying to trade up to 10 years in jail. And by the time he gets out, he still has access to the keys, which he didn't give up, and enjoy some life of luxury. That's if these shitcoins were able to maintain value during that time. That's a discussion for another time. But the police got a data scientist involved to help crack the keys. And he said, quote, some of the number strings felt wrong, and they looked like they were not computer generated. It looked like a human had modified the sequence by adding numbers to the front of some sequences. So there were some subtle irregularities here, and that led to them getting access to the wallet. So people out there that are going to do something similar with their Bitcoin stuff and keep it somewhere that is easily accessible, and they think they could just add some numbers here or change something around, there could be some forensics done to this, forensic analysis done to this, and it could be figured out what is human added, because it just does not seem like it's computer generated. Be careful with your keys. That's all. That's really the one thing I'm taking away from this. Everybody be careful with your keys. Do not expose them at all to the internet. Even if you're doing encryption, you think you're doing something clever to hide it, you're not. It could be found. Like this could potentially be your life savings. Don't fuck around with it.
What's the lesson here?
Don't fuck around with shitcoins.
Don't commit crimes. Don't commit crimes. Okay, we don't want that. Don't try and police people on human-made changes, man-made changes to what should be computer-generated keys or code-generated keys. Don't forget, Len, famously, one of the people on this program lost a bunch of money, 5 years ago, or whatever it was, because he hastily plugged in about, a handful of numbers in a cold card. And so it's easy to find out if a human has made, some changes to what should otherwise be a perfectly random, set of digits, set of letters, whatever. The thing I don't get is why, how did they get access to his phone?
Good question. I don't
That's
know.
what I
It
wanna
was
know.
not noted. Maybe they forced his thumb on the thing and it opened up for him.
Who
I don't
knows?
fucking know.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah.
All right, California, they fined CoinHub. That's a Bitcoin ATM company for $675,000. That's over.
It's like
pretty-
nothing. It's like
almost
nothing.
$1 billion Canadian.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the charge is a result of overcharging customers in the state of California, and this is due to as a result of findings due to the regulator DFPI, and 105,000 is going to be paid as restitution to California customers, and they were charging more than what was allowed per state law. They were accepting cash transactions above the $1,000 limit, was also a no-no in the state of California. They were omitting key financial information on receipts. They failed to provide legal required disclaimers before transactions. There's a few things here that were wrong. Some of the transactions that were done on these ATMs, Joey, this is beautiful stuff here. They were over $10,000. So some people were buying, looks like Bitcoin.
Heaven forbid.
But they say that many of these oversight transactions were involving customers over the age of 60. So you know the reason
Well,
why
he's got a girl. He's got a girlfriend in Venezuela. What do you mean?
or they got a call, you have a fine, you know, you'll send you to jail, send us $11,000 worth of Bitcoin, we'll wipe this record. It's like shit like that. People are easily duped when it comes to this. So under law, operators cannot accept more than $1,000 in cash for transactions per day. Fees in California are capped at either $5 or 15% of the transaction value, whichever is higher.
It's not much, eh?
Holy fuck, 15%. Well, they were charging more than 15% for the fees. That's a fucking scam.
What is the fee on ATMs here? Like 7%? 8%? What is it?
I think it's
like what's Adam charge?
15%.
What's Bitcoin well charge?
I think it's as high as 15%.
Okay, so they're up there. That's a lot.
That's right at the limit, but these guys were charging in excess of that. So and who knows what they're not
free market, baby. If people want to pay, let them pay.
I guess so. See, getting 14% ish in the chat. From what I gather, it depending on the location, it's between 12 or 13% and 15%. That's what they are over here, but whatever. Steak and Shake.
Do you care about this story? This like Bitcoin reserve story? Steak and Shake is it Shake and Steak or Steak and Shake?
Steak and Shake.
I have no idea. I've read it about 1 million times last week. They're starting a Bitcoin treasury,
and they're donating 210 sats to the Open Sats Foundation every time they make a sale in Bitcoin.
Oh,
yeah. So it's a double-edged. Well,
I like that. Hey, I'm changing my opinion. I had
there you go. So Joey did mention that they're going to be adding to their treasury, their Bitcoin, or starting one. Every sale that they do that was in the sale of Bitcoin, because you could buy their food over there with Bitcoin, they're not going to be converting that to Bitcoin. So not like other treasury companies that are borrowing, begging, or whatever. These guys are just simply not converting this to their Bitcoin to whatever. So you went to Detroit not too long ago. You went to DC not too long ago. There is a Steak and Shake in each of those two locations. Joey, you failed us by not.
It's a busy. Listen, when you're going stateside for a football game, there's not a lot of time to do much. Especially in Washington, my wife had not seen like the history around.
Yeah, the Steak and Shake is one of the historical places over there. You got.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Lincoln Memorial, Washington Monument, Steak and Shake.
Yeah. So you dropped the ball like the fucking Jays did.
I did.
Yeah. Did you watch any of the games,
I watched game 6 and 7. I'm not a big baseball guy, but it was frustrating to see the Jays not capitalize on some mistakes that probably should have won them the World Series. So I don't know. Well, to be honest with you, I don't care that much. There's a few plays I would like to have back, like the wedged ball between the wall and the track in game 6. I thought that was questionable.
Did they raise their hands? And
yeah, the outfielders did.
Yeah,
the umpires didn't right away. The outfielders did.
Yeah,
and they got the call. There was a few other ones, like the guy sliding into home plate feet first, even though all the analytics say that any base that's not second or third, you run through it, you're always going to be faster than sliding. And if you have to slide, you slide hand first, not foot first. So I don't know. Did you know the baseball players now wear like a hand guard on their sliding hand?
It's like a mitt.
Yeah, I had not
Yeah,
seen that before.
It's like an oven mitt, but like
the announcers pointed out, this thing about during the replay or whatever, that he had the guard on. I thought, why does this guy have the hand guard on if he's sliding feet first? Like, what are we doing here? This is the end of the season. It's Game 7 of the World Series. This is when you're going to protect your mug. Like, who cares? Anyway, disappointing all the same.
Well, okay, this company SQNS, the treasury company.
Sequans Barkley.
Is that what is it called?
I don't
Sequans?
know. What a scam this place is.
Well, there's a number of scams in this particular field. They're a treasury company that has ties to Swan Bitcoin, and it looks like they're starting to sell, at least speculations that are starting to sell some of the corn. 970 Bitcoin, valued at $107 million as of yesterday. Looks like it was moved to a Coinbase deposit address, which means looks like they might be selling it off. The company has about 3,200 Bitcoin before the sale, so a decent amount. So they're saying that, well, they need the money, right? The company, it was down a little over 25% in a month in the trades. So 63% in 6 months. It gets worse when you zoom out even further. They were as high as 53.90 in July, and as of yesterday,
don't even tell me. Don't even say it. It's going to be an embarrassingly low number, something that's near zero.
No, it's not. It's $7.34, but 734 versus 53.90.
Yeah,
remember that was the peak of paper Bitcoin summer. A lot of companies took a huge beating. Even fucking MicroStrategy has taken a massive beating, but I don't know.
None of those companies are doing well. The Bitcoin, what is it? If it doesn't humble people and corporations, what does it do? This is the thing it does every cycle.
And unfortunately, you're going to still have the next cycle. And even fucking this one, people are still going to fucking pile in because of a variety of reasons. And you got Bitcoin just sitting there waiting to be purchased. You could buy it, you could hold it, and then it's yours.
Well, not to mention that, like, how many times did we talk about MSTR at some point, the risk of them having to sell? Like, I don't think it's a risk now or even anytime in the near future, to be honest with you. But look at these smaller companies. How many times did we say this? Len's raising his eyebrows. Yeah, I mean, there's other key man risks there with Mike, but the point is that you guys who are buying these companies, like my question is why? If you want a Bitcoin treasury company and you care about outperforming Bitcoin, okay, if that's the thesis, the only company, okay, that has the right balance of the opportunity to do that in fiat terms and not rugging you by selling the Bitcoin is MSTR. There's not another company that has that balance. And even that balance is dicey. But if you're going to do it, there's only one place for the capital. And it's not fucking Sequans. It's not Nakamoto. It's not any of these companies. It's MSTR.
I'm going to give you the argument that somebody that wants to buy this shit. And I don't fucking buy it.
We must the Twilight Zone here. What's going on?
No, I don't buy into it. Because you said it. Why would you buy into this? It's that same argument. Why would you buy those other things? It's because you want to outperform something, right? And I don't buy into this, but they will say, I'm going to buy into MSTR because it's going to potentially outperform Bitcoin. All right. I'm going to buy into this SQNS because it's going to potentially outperform MSTR. I'm going to buy this fucking shitcoin because it's going to outperform Bitcoin. It's always this outperforming bullshit. That's what you're always trying to chase, these potential gains.
You're not wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong.
That's what it is. That's the argument. So
I'm not saying you're wrong. All I'm saying is if I'm in the mind of the investor, okay, it's these other companies don't have the right weighting of risk and increasing in value, appreciation, whatever. I'm tongue tied. Only MSTR has it because you can't, like, yeah, it is true that these like penny stocks, I realize it's not necessarily a penny stock, but like Nakamoto is now, and a few other ones are. They don't have the base. They don't have the foundation that MSTR has. And so you're running the risk of this. Now, I will say that MSTR is even showing signs of weakness. I listened to their earnings call last week. Sailor's talking about all sorts of shit that he wasn't talking about before. Today, they offered a European preferred. Like, I don't know, man. It seems to me like there's a lot going on at MSTR that I don't like too. And I would just caution people, because the problem with rug pulls is you don't know until you know. And by then it's too late. So stay on the lookout. And I will remind people again that Michael Saylor committed financial fraud in the 2000s. Significant financial fraud.
You mentioned that before.
He cooked his books in the 2000s. So I don't know. Like, do you want to put your faith in this guy? You could, I guess. It's a different time now. Maybe he's reformed. I don't know. But
there's no shenanigans go on with these companies.
Never.
Right?
No, there's never shenanigans. No, never.
Right? Like, what
never.
the fuck?
Yeah.
If ever something happens, I don't know what's 106 shows my block clock, the price of Bitcoin, 106K.
Yeah.
If there's any inkling that they decided to sell some of their Bitcoin,
it dropped 30% overnight. Yeah.
Yeah. Could you imagine? And if hypothetically, if they wanted
just
to
the sell pressure would drop it, multiple percent. And then the sentiment around the sell, like if you lose Saylor, I mean, the only positive is that there'd be a lot of pleb slop that would, crash and burn.
Oh
too.
yeah.
Who are you gonna put in the thumbnail now? We had Tiff and what's the other guy's name? Powell in our thumbnail today, because we're talking about them in the back half. I'm gonna try and make the cringiest thumbnails I can. I know Nate from he does Ben's thumbnails and some other stuff for Ben and does BTC Mentor. He gave me a template to use. I haven't used it yet, but it does make me laugh. It's just like, I don't understand why people put all their faith in Mike Saylor. Like, if you look back, again, if you look back 2 years, 3 years maybe, let's say, we had Mike Saylor basically constantly swimming upstream against the sharpest knives. It was all Wall Street, all media, all Bitcoiners. Like, everyone had questions for this guy about his stock. He went on about the Texas Mining Consortium or whatever. You remember that. He went on shows that weren't Natalie Brunell and Stefan Livera. Now it's only Brunel, by the way. He only talks to Natalie Brunell. He even talks to Natalie Brunell on his quarterly reports, his quarterly earnings calls. Like, I cannot stress enough how much easier the comms environment has gotten for Saylor, and yet how much worse the comms are. Like, you can make it that what you will, but having Pierre Rochard, Preston Pish, and Natalie Brunell does not scream confidence to me. It doesn't. And that's the top dog in the Bitcoin treasury company ecosystem. He's doing things a little bit different. He's got a nice base. It'd be hard for him to go tits up, but the risk exists. And I think you'd be naive if you said the risk was not greater now than it was a year ago. Is all I'm saying. It's all I'm pointing out. And to Len's point, if you're thinking about the smaller companies, then it's fair to thinking about the bigger ones too. Even if you think it less, the risks are the same. They are the same.
No, I would say none of them are fucking good. Like, everything is fucking garbage when you're talking about this. It's all fiat, and that's why we're Bitcoiners. We're trying to exit the fiat game. For thumbnails, we should probably tap into the Central African Republic.
For thumbnails,
it's been a while since we talked about them, right?
Who are we going to put on from the CAF or CAR?
I don't know whoever's in charge there. Remember, they were Bitcoiners for couple of weeks, and then they decided
and they went their own coin, right? They
created their own shit coin. It's a bait and switch. What a fucking joke. Anyways, FTX looks like creditors are.
What year is it? Why are we talking about FTX? Oh my god.
Well, there's a lot of things that are happening a lot around this. Like, number one, we have the people are going to get paid from what they lost. Like, there's going to be some recovery, but unfortunately, it's going to be as little as 9% once you adjust for prices. Now, remember, okay, we're talking about
you get paid in the value at the time of the bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're in Ethereum, you break even.
2022?
Pretty sure. What's Ethereum at?
I didn't want to look
something?
at it.
Yeah, I think it's pretty low.
Clue.
So,
but Bitcoin is at 20K or under 20K when this happened.
Yeah.
Right? So it's 5x plus since then.
RIP.
So that's pathetic. So that's why I was talking about using non-custodial exchanges, because when you do that, when you do the buy, it's automatically with Bull Bitcoin, it's sent to you when you provide the address. So if the company goes tits up, you have your Bitcoin because you're not having them hold on to it. So that's why don't leave your keys somewhere else. It just does not make something.
I'm clicking around on this to try and get rid. There's like a weird bolding going on in my GUI, but it's not. Yeah, it's not. I can't fix it, so whatever. Don't worry about it.
We're not going to put Luke on every fucking thumbnail.
No.
Fuck that. No. So, anyways, to go back to FTX, they're saying that they're going to try to help them out, these people, a little bit more. This is fucking rich, man, because there's a possibility of extra recovery. I'm quoting this, extra recovery. That's the word. How could the fuck did you get this? Well, it's airdrops from external projects that are targeting FTX creditors. This is how they're going to try to make people even more whole, or try to make them whole in the whatever. What a fucking joke. Also, SBF has an appeal hearing taking place tomorrow, the same time or the same day of the budget coming out in Canada. Could you imagine the appeal hearing? It goes his way, probably won't. But there's a lot of moving parts here. Remember, Trump he pardoned CZ. I don't think he's going to pardon SBF.
Doesn't know who CZ was. But
that's right. Well, yeah. So, like, look at this guy. He's an acronym. Let's pardon him. Let's give him a fucking free out, right? I like one names or acronyms. Well, CZ, SBF, they're acronyms. Let's go. Get out of here.
I feel bad. I feel bad that this is still ongoing. It's like, I think a lot of people who probably got nuked by FTX just want to be done with Bitcoin and crypto at this point. They've seen the run up to 120K. I don't know where we're at right now. My block clock's in the living room, but it's like 105,000, 106,000, whatever it is. Like, that's life-changing money if you were buying a 20K. If you're buying a 3K, 5K, 10K, whatever. If you bought after the FTX collapse and somehow lost that too, you just want out. You want to be done with it. You want to forget about it. It's like your ex-girlfriend keeps showing up on Instagram. She looks better and better every time you see her. But you can't. You're stuck with your new fat wife. So,
you don't think that if you were, say, you bought Bitcoin and FTX, and you just were buying Bitcoin, you weren't trading it. Do you think that changed your mentality with how you hold on to Bitcoin?
I honestly think people then don't like that connection is so far from so many people's minds. It's like
if they're going to get paid up to 9%.
I think it's just that I was buying it. I didn't know anything about it. I still don't know anything about it. I stopped thinking about it. I think it's a scam, whatever. The jump from FTX rugging to I need a cold card is like, it's canyon size. It's huge. It's way bigger than either of us think.
Mt. Gox, they're going to be extending repayment to October 31st, 2026.
Yeah.
And these Mt. Gox repayments, some already has taken place, but it looks like this is just, it's an ongoing fucking thing. It's kind of in the same vein as FTX. That was Bitcoin, right? This is Bitcoin and who the fuck knows whatever else. But I think the people that suffered through the collapse of Mt. Gox, I think they understood, they learned that there's a high value in holding on to your own keys. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping that the same applies for how few people that just had Bitcoin on FTX, that they're going to come out and say, yeah, holding on to my keys makes a lot of sense. Because I think the majority of FTX customers were shitcoiners, trading actively, doing
I think that is true. Yeah, I think that is true.
They're lost to begin with. They're never going to come back.
You remember when me and you were young Bitcoiners and we were talking about we were walking to get coffee and talking about the just absolute junk on Binance that we were buying, or at least that I was buying, like Ontology coin. Remember that? Denta coin, Ontology coin.
Remember when Coinbase used to give those
Ontology coin?
Coinbase but Coinbase used to have those courses and
quizzes. Yeah, the quizzes.
And you get fucking airdrop shitcoins, which immediately got transferred over to fucking Bitcoin. Yeah. Allegedly, this shit happened.
Do you know Coinbase in 2013? If you signed up and started a Bitcoin wallet with them, they gave you 0.1 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Wild, man.
Well, there was faucets. You were getting far more than that just a couple of years before that.
Yeah, when it was a true zero. But it should make you think. You don't know what you're holding on to. Just wait. Be patient. I went to a wedding on the weekend on Saturday for a good buddy of mine, younger than me. I think he's 32. We've been playing football together for a long time, and I gave him, a nice cash purse, but also gave him. I reset my Jade and put some Bitcoin on there for him. Gave it to him, and put everything you needed in the card. Just made sure I told him, don't lose this card. If you need help with this, let me know, but do not sell it. Like, this will pay for your kids' college tuition or someday. It's a guarantee.
It may very well happen.
Yeah.
Joey, we have a lot on the backside. Let's fucking cut this one short.
It's like Jennifer Lopez over here. Too much on the backside to ignore. Let's go over there then. If you're on audio, come back tomorrow. If you're anywhere else, stay tuned. We're not going anywhere. We'll see you in a second.
And don't invest in a treasury company.
Yeah.
No, there's no fucking free ride. That's the reality.
That's true. It is true. There's always a risk. The risks are everywhere. You got to know them. Dave Bradley said it best at the conference, I think, that, you know, the problem with treasury companies compared to Bitcoin on the risk side is that the risks in Bitcoin are very clear and the scope of the risks is narrowing. When you look at a company like MSTR, because of the way they're building this, you know, debt curve, let's say, you know, to put it generously, the scope of the risks is not only expanding, broadening, but also the difficulty that the average person has in understanding these things is broadening. And you're finding yourself sort of compounding your deficit in terms of understanding because of the difficulty around some of these vehicles. So like when you're talking about preferreds and you're talking about capital stack and you're talking about, you know, repayment hierarchy and all these things, this is hard for the average person to know. But you know what's not hard? Fixed supply, self-custody. Like, it's just where most people belong, you know? And I think everyone gets there either by hook or by crook in time. So yeah, I'm not worried about it.
Makes so much sense. Like I'm a total dumbass when it comes to those fiat terms you're mentioning, but I could grasp relatively simply fixed supply.
Yeah.
There's
a reason people call us retards, right? I mean, it's kind of a term of endearment.
Yeah. I'm proud to be one. To be one.
Yeah.
Powell prepping the bird looks like. Cut rates 25 basis points last week.
I love it. They're going to do it again. They're going to do it again in December too.
Talking, but you know, who knows? But you know what's interesting is the price of Bitcoin didn't react positively. Was everybody expecting a bigger cut? Like, I just didn't make sense.
Because I think that capital is going to come. Not to interrupt you, I thought you were done there. But the reason I think it's not reacting, and I don't think it will react until Q1 26 or Q2 26, is because it's not like you're unsure of what direction rates are going to go in 6 months. You know the Powell's out. You know they're going to bring in an ultra dove as the Fed chair, and you know that the neutral rate is going to drop significantly. And so I think you're going to see a big time rip in equities and risk assets and Bitcoin and everything come Q2, let's say. I think that's probably why. It's predictable what's going to happen next. And so if you can hang in till then, you're fine.
You're not selling?
No, I'm not planning on selling. No.
Oh, okay. I just saw the dip. I was like, what the fuck? This is a good time to get out. I'm done.
What did it even break down to? We've been over 100K for a long time now. When was the last time we were under 100K? A year ago?
No, it was this year.
I don't remember.
I don't even want to get.
When my daughter was born, the price was like 72,000. So that was a year ago-ish. So let's, you know, do the math on that. It's been over 100K for like 6 months probably, and from this time a year ago, you're still up.
So April was 75K.
Yeah. Okay.
And we got on over 100.
July. Guillaume is saying July it went up to 100 for the first time and stayed there since.
So May it crossed May 9th, 8th, 9th is when it hasn't gotten below. Yeah, so it's
$100,000 Bitcoin is still a wild thing for me to say out loud, isn't it? Yeah.
But if the price of gold, if we hit 4,400 2 weeks ago,
not even, I don't think, but yeah.
Putting things in perspective, 106, it's low, right? Like, it's so much money piled into gold in the past year or so, and it's not like it's thinly traded. This thing, it's like what is it, $14 trillion market cap right now?
14. It's fucking 35. I think it's a lot.
Gold is 35 trillion.
Yeah, pretty sure. Look that up. Jamie, pull that up. Boomer is pointing out that the tariff.
My bad. You're right. 27 trillion is.
I thought it was higher than that. Yeah.
This one is 38 trillion. So it depends. Well, this thing is, so to move that fucking market cap, like
big money. That's real. That's real inflows. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's the speculation on that?
Well,
It's
I mean, we
central
talk all
banks.
the time about how central banks should print and buy Bitcoin. The central banks are actually printing and buying gold. So I don't know.
they're
Maybe
doing that.
maybe they'll switch, but
That is an admission that the money that they administer is worthless.
administer is the
that-
key word there. I'm glad you said that. Not just the money they print; it's the money that they are the shepherds of, right? And they are, they are treating it poorly, and they understand how poorly it's being treated.
If they don't have confidence in it, why should anybody else? If I am the CEO of a company, I would talk up that company so much. Because it's the best company in the world because I believe in it.
Totally.
The moment I stop believing in it and stop talking about it in a positive manner, nobody should be using the products or doing anything with the company that I'm a part of. Makes no sense. It's the same thing with this. When they're exchanging money to buy gold, lots of it, it's a telltale sign. It's saying to the market they don't have confidence
Agreed.
in the money that they're
I agree with
administering.
you.
Now,
I agree with you.
granted, there may be some validity that they have to have certain amount of gold for transactions and they have to have some foreign currencies, right, to do some. But there comes a point where they're getting excess amount. They're just like they're trading more because they just don't believe in what they have. Either way, QT looks like it's coming to an end in December 1, in fact.
It's not looking like it's coming to an end. It's over. They're stopping the tightening regime. So
yeah,
that's why I put in the thumbnail. The printer is warming up. Like, what are we? There's no doubts about this. The best thing about the transparency of the financial market is that even if you don't understand the plumbing, you can see what way the shit is flowing. You know, and it's coming. It's coming your way. You're gonna get a nice influx of liquidity here. Repo showing the same thing. Repo is drained. There's an injection coming, okay, and not the one from 2021. It's the one you actually want, you know, and it's gonna pump your bags like you wouldn't believe. I got a copy of Larry Lepard's book behind me, the big print that I haven't opened yet, and I'm sure that he's gonna be pointing to all these things and saying, "Look, you know, the transparency is your friend here." They're not transparent all the time, but the stuff that they are transparent about is very, very telling. And he was spot on a few years ago at the Bitcoin conference. Him and Greg Voss, right, talking about how he's like, yeah, you know, if you can hang in there, this thing's going to be 100,000 in 3 years. Here we are 3 years later. He's dead on the money, that guy.
We are full of apologists between Carney and other people. Very, very thankful. We're a country of apologists. But another thing that we didn't talk about this year, and I wish we did, I fucking missed it. And it just shows how fucking pathetic things are becoming. The penny in the United States, they ended production in May of this year.
Yeah, we talked.
Right, and it may not seem like a big thing. The fucking penny. Is it cost
about that, Len?
I don't think so.
Thought we did,
but
whatever. Yeah, okay.
May not seem like a big thing because it costs 3.7 cents to make a single penny, so it's a money losing endeavor. But if you look at it from a different point of view, it is the smallest unit you could use. Right, gone. So it used to be 1/100th. Now it's 1/20th is the smallest unit. Like, we make fun of other countries when they add a zero and shit like
the $5 million bill. Yeah.
This isn't as extreme as that, but you know what I mean? Like, you're getting rid of a unit of accounting. This cheapest coin, it's gone. The penny.
Yeah.
1/100th. You can't use it anymore, or you can't get it anymore. You can still use it, but that's a telltale sign that things are getting bad, and it's going to continue to get bad. Canada did this 13 years ago, by the way.
Yeah.
In 2012. So.
Rounding up all cash purchase to the next nickel was a hilarious sort of under the radar thing for this country that no one really talked about. Oh, it's not efficient to produce the penny. Oh, we don't need it anymore. Okay. Let me tell you how it looks in 20 years. Not great. Not great.
And right now, there's no rules in the States about doing the rounding. They're trying to get a law put in place, looks like, but nothing has been set in stone just yet. And
they'll round it up. They'll round it up if you're white, round it down if you're a minority. That's how the liberal states will do it, right? The Zoran Mamdani roundup rules coming soon to New York City. Coming tomorrow to New York City.
What's interesting is 24 years ago.
What's interesting is that he was DJing at a gay bar at 2 a.m. Is that what you were going to say?
Did he? You could tell me
the next day he was at Next day he was at the marathon. That's not an anti-gay comment.
No.
It's like this guy is all over the place. Even though there's basically zero chance he's going to lose, like that city is going to be handed to a communist in the next.
It's more
48
than that,
hours.
Joey.
Yeah.
Remember, if you go back 24 years ago,
Mhm.
the mentality in New
2001.
York,
Yeah.
right? The mentality in New York was there was anger, there was shock. People were like, "What the fuck happened?" Let me go look. The New York mayor history. Let's go take a look to see.
It's probably all Republicans till Giuliani, right?
No, I'm going to just name some last names: Adams, De Blasio, Bloomberg, Giuliani, Dickens, Koch, Beam, Lindsay, Wagner, O'Dwyer, LaGuardia, O'Brien, like Mamdani, right? Like 24 years ago. And
I'm told he's as American as you and or as
maybe
American
he
as any
is,
other
but
American. I don't know.
There was,
Listen,
and this is not my
difficult.
words.
These are difficult conversations, by the way, that we're
No,
trying to have
they're
here,
not.
but
These, because it just took a generation to change people's mentality.
Yeah.
Right. There was something that started. These are not my words. They called it a holy war that it was done upon America. Right.
Yeah.
And they changed the landscape of New York. People, they fucking jumped out of a burning building. They had the choice of either suffocating, being burned alive, or I'm going to jump out and do it this is people made hard choices because some fucking assholes, at least that's the story they told us. They use box cutters and shit like that.
They found the passports intact at the ground zero.
Now, 24 years ago.
I hate talking about this because it makes me feel like I'm insane, but the intact passports at the crash site is a bridge too far for me.
That's a story they tell us, and I'm gonna go with it. Some guys in the cave with box cutters and that are hidden in their fucking shoes were able to do this. All right, I'm good with that. But New York, good fucking luck. I'm amazed. I'm amazed that people have forgotten a lot of what has happened.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
well, the problem is that like
sad.
the history. I was listening to Pagan today talking about the sort of way that many Canadians now feel disdain for the country as opposed to being proud of its history. And the two guys he was talking to wrote a book called Fracture, I think. It's about Canada's breaking point. It's good. Sounds like a good book. I might grab it. They point out that like 25% of people under 50 weren't born here now. So like it's not that they don't know the history, it's that they have no attachment to it. They experience that portion of history on the other side of the coin, right? And I think in New York, that is a truly global city, and you can say what you want about immigration and the density of certain ethnic groups, cultural groups, religious groups, whatever. I have my own thoughts about that, but this sort of bigger picture there is it's become trendy to view anything from the third world conquering something from the first world as a win. That's the new victory for what is a sort of morally defeated demographic in the young people of America. And you see it, I think you see it in the Palestine thing. I think you see it in the way they talk about Trump. I think you see it in the way they want to bring back communism. And now, of course, you have sort of a perfect poster child, a guy who's from a third world country, follows a third world religion, eats with his hands when the cameras are around, and is a socialist commie. And the ideas that he's proposing are obviously bad, but they're also intuitively bad for people who are relatively smart. And so I really do think there's something to this idea that the ultimate goal is just sticking it to the people you think have disadvantaged you, no matter how much worse it makes things, because it'll also make it worse for them. And I don't know, good luck to everyone over there. But if I was you guys, I would be trying to get that Silva guy to give his head a shake, get out of the race, and maybe Cuomo's got a chance. But right now I think it's a runaway win.
Polymark is showing it is.
Yeah.
Got and if you're going to use that as the barometer of which way things are trending, the one thing maybe they should just do to give people, make them feel better, is just issue stamps, right? Just right. Are we going to
talk about the stamp thing? Should we talk about it?
Do you know how many served in World War I?
10.
Do you know how many?
Len is talking about this thing I found just before the show, and I'm going to bring it up because I really don't know how else to describe what I'm seeing here.
No, Joey, do you know how many served in World War I?
How many what?
Sikhs, I guess.
Sikh soldiers. Yeah. 10
You
is
do
the
it?
number.
10.
Yeah.
In
I mean, that's alleged too. I think that's an allegation, not a hard and fast truth.
and I went further. British sent 5 million men to war, and they had India was one of their colonies at the time. They sent around 100 to 125,000 Sikhs. That's a larger number, but still pales in comparison to the 5 million men that.
So I have
British
it on the
sent.
screen for people on audio. Canada Post Remembrance Day stamp honors Sikh soldiers. And as though to add insult to injury, there's a sort of stamp. The stamp is for Private Singh. It says the Soldat Singh, and then it's in what I guess is Hindu, right?
It's Hindi or Punjabi.
Third language. Like, I don't know, man. There's a lot of traditions in this country that are very proud. And I think that there are traditions that certain people really do revel in. One of them is the ferocity that Canadian soldiers were known for in the two Great Wars. And I don't know, Len, like I went to school in Canada. I'm Canadian educated. I never heard anything about this growing up. And the idea that we should have a stamp for Sikh soldiers, 10 of them, while current day vets starve in the street, are offered maid, et cetera, I think is like, it's offensive in a lot of ways. We just shouldn't be doing it. And I realize people will say, I think the common refrain is going to be Sikhs and the Indians you're so, mad at or who are causing problems in culture. Like, these are not the same people. I'm not suggesting that. I have nothing against Sikhs. I don't care one way or the other about their culture. What I care about is what is obviously a slight to a fierce and steadfast Canadian tradition, one that is one of the only ones we have left in this country in a lot of ways. And this is how you're celebrating Remembrance Day. Like,
take a guess, Joey. How many Chinese served Canada in World War One? Take a guess.
World War One?
World War, because this is what it is. We're talking about. I'm trying to compare apples to apples here.
God, it's got to be a low number, less than 1,000.
Yeah, it is less than. They're saying 200.
Okay.
This is according to Veterans Affairs Canada.
Mm-hmm.
200. So that's quite a bit more than 10. Where's their fucking stamp?
Yeah, good question, right? My wife's, we were kind of laughing about this at dinner, and my wife pointed out that, like, the only way you would ever do this is if you were trying to upset people. And, she's not terminally online the same way we are, and certainly does not have the harsh opinions that I do. But for her to say that, I think that's a signpost, like, she's just a stay-at-home mom right now. And I showed her that, and she's going, why do they want to upset people with stuff like this? And it's like, yeah, it's a good question. Why do they choose this stuff over and over?
I'm buying the booklet. I have to get this. And
Hard not to.
Yeah. And I don't mail a lot of shit out, but I'm going to start mailing stuff out. And
yeah.
I think it's I got to support.
You can mail me the stories every week or something just to use the stamps.
Fucking A, I'll do that. You get it far after. They're still in rotating strikes, right?
Yeah, they are. Not everywhere. I think I was talking to my good buddy who's a postie. He was saying that the more popular routes or the more important routes are basically full service now. So
what's a more important route? I mean,
I don't know. Who knows?
How did it make that?
Who knows?
Isn't everything fucking important?
It depends who you ask. Do you want to talk notwithstanding in Alberta?
Go ahead.
I want to talk about it because I saw a tweet today that I shared, and I'm not going to bring it up, but
you're talking with respect to the teachers, right?
Yeah, the teachers were forced back to work by the provincial government there after 3 weeks of striking and basically no movement in negotiations. The province is correct to force them back, but the teachers union now is really pulling no punches about the problems they're having. And I heard whispers of this like a week ago, and I know it to be true from talking to teachers, and even here in Hamilton, I have a lot of friends who are teachers who say the same thing. But I've not seen the teachers union adopt this as a negotiating position and tactic. And the tactic I'm talking about specifically is that the Alberta teachers are saying that 31% of their students now need interpreters in the classroom because they don't speak English.
Wow.
31% is a big number. And 31% is a number that will ruin education for 100% of the kids in the classroom setting. Not only that, but there's 34,000 kids in the Alberta school system who have identifiable learning disabilities and other special needs. So what does this mean? I'm going to say some things here that are not going to be popular, and they may be rude. And ultimately, I think, will probably lose me friends and have me sitting on the outside of a dinner party next time there's an invitation going out. This is a strictly third world immigration problem. Third world immigrants, a lot of times, do not abort children that have genetic defaults that will lead to significant, severe, and easily identifiable disabilities. Some of them are brutally difficult to deal with for parents, even more so for teachers and educators. Difficult for classroom settings, but because of policy that's been adopted by every province for whatever reason, there's no more special needs classrooms or hallways. Everyone is fully included in the classroom setting, even at the cost of regular learners, certainly at a greater cost to gifted students, but we won't get into that. These same people, Pakistan, for example, first cousin marriages, not only accepted, but encouraged. We have places like the UK talking about the benefits of cousin marriage. It really strengthens relationship. Other completely insane nonsense that, a few years ago would have been obviously ridiculous. You can't marry your first cousin. You risk retardation and other significant problems in your children. Even if the kids don't show it right away, they will have problems with impulse control. They will have problems with learning. They will have problems with development. They will wind up more likely to be either ward of the state because they're on welfare or because they're in jail. This is a fact, okay? When you introduce this population into English-speaking schools, what you get is this result, where 31% of kids can't speak English, 34,000 of them need IEPs or some other problem with their education resolved, and there's no funding. And the teachers are saying, we are sick of it. We're not going to do this anymore. We're not going to come to school and deal with Bronze Age languages from people who don't have any interest in learning, parents who cannot participate in the school community, who cannot help us with the stuff they're being taught in school. Instead, it's an uphill battle. There's religious undertones and fault lines now that are prevalent in that education system and in others in this country and in other places in the world, specifically in Europe. How much longer can we ignore this? How much longer can we pretend that diversity is a strength when it's clearly a weakness? How much longer can we pretend that immigration is a net benefit when it's clearly not? I don't know how much longer we can do it. We're going to try and keep pretending, I guess, for a little longer. But I applaud the Alberta teachers for putting out that data about exactly what the problems are in their schools. And they're not blaming it entirely on immigrants, but they're leading the horse to water in a way that no professional union has done yet. And it's just the fact of the matter. These are things that are impossible to argue with. No impartial observer would ever look at a school system like that and say, yeah, I want to send my kid there. And so what I expect to see in the next 10 years, if not sooner, certainly I'll be asking when I decide where to send my daughter to school, how many immigrant families do you have here? How many kids on IEPs? How many kids don't speak English? Do you have classrooms with interpreters? How many kids have learning disabilities? That information should be public because it's my job to make sure that my kid gets the best education. And you're going to see a flight of quality teachers, quality families, and their quality kids, board to certain schools, certain neighborhoods, certain jurisdictions, where they don't have to deal with that. And those schools are going to outperform. And the outperformance is going to be so pronounced, Len, that they're going to have to stop reporting test scores. Oh, wait, sorry, they've already done that in a lot of places. They've already eliminated gifted programs. They've already because why? Because it shows something that's intuitive and obvious to everyone who's paying attention. I applaud the teachers for this. I really want to get someone from that teachers union to come on this show. It'll be next to impossible to do it because of the way we talk about everything. But this is so obvious that it shouldn't need to be said. But there's just so many people out there who don't get it because they're not dealing with it. You're going to start dealing with it now. Because soon, those people who come through the school system who we can't fail, we can't tell them they're stupid, we can't tell them to stop having sex with their cousins, this will be the person who is responsible for fixing your car, delivering your Amazon, building your bridges. How are those things going to work? This is the real crisis of infrastructure that the first world has to deal with now. And I don't know if there's a fix for it.
Correct. 100% there is none.
Yeah.
there is none. I guess I've racked my brain. It will take a generation plus of
minimum.
Yeah, and you have to make
and there will
really
be disasters.
Decisions,
There will be disasters. Like airplanes, trains, like these
fucking
things
going
rely.
to Subway.
Yeah,
Could you,
yeah. They everything from making sure your bread is the lettuce is laid properly to the landing gear being deployed at the right time is going to be relying on people who just don't have it. And it's like, it brings me, by the way, it brings me no great pleasure to say this, but the problem is you just keep throwing it at me and I have no choice but to acknowledge it and say that there's a problem. And, at this wedding I was at on the weekend, I said a couple of things that, after a few beers, you might find you say some things to people you don't really know. And Len, I'll tell you, I didn't get any negative feedback on any of the stuff I said. And some of it was brutal, but everyone is thinking the same thing. They're tired. They're tired of it.
But you know what? I think that the scales have tipped over to, it's going to, like I said, to change things, it will take a long time of very difficult decisions.
Can I ask you something? Why do you think the scales have tipped?
It doesn't take it's not like it's a 50% that tips the scales. It's, you're talking just a few percent, and that's enough. And then it's very difficult to change things when you're looking at the decisions they tend to make. And if you look at just simply how they handle with money, which should be like it is a very important thing that they should be dealing with.
Yeah.
And the solution that is normally come up with is let's borrow, let's add to the fucking debt. Let's let the future generations deal with it. And that's really how it's going to be for just about everything. Let's let the future generations deal with it. And these 4-year cycles, it doesn't help things out.
Yeah, I want to point to two things here. Boomer is saying that there's like seed oils and vaccines. Like, I just want to point out, I have a kid. My kid has a regular vaccine schedule. Like, our vaccine schedule in Canada is not the vaccine schedule that everyone thinks is harming kids. I just want to point that out.
It's different in the States.
It's much different. We talked about it on the show. In the States, a kid between 0 and 18 years old gets about 80 shots. Here, it's about 20. They wait till the kids are a certain weight. They don't distribute the shots the same way. Like, it's not the same thing here as it is there. I want to just point that out. There may be still some worry, but me personally, I look at the risk reward, and I know I'll get some shit from a lot of people, but I just didn't think anything of it, to be honest with you. There's some stuff at birth we didn't do, but some of the other stuff we did do. And then the seed oils and diet thing, this is a common refrain from, immigration sympathizers, that the problem is not that these people are just cut from a different cloth. It's that their diet isn't good. Their IQ is low because they're not eating properly. Like, I don't think that is a fair assessment, honestly. I don't. And there's a lot of data that points to that I will not say on the show, but you can find this stuff fairly easily. The US has a lot of reporting that cuts out a lot of noise. And even though it's not perfect, there's some obvious truths in certain demographics about the way you can expect those demographics to behave. And in Canada, you see it, there's not a mystery. I mean, how many times we have a segment called Toronto Man versus Brampton Man? I almost never get it wrong. It's a blind smell test. You look at the Toronto Police Service Twitter account, every single crime is committed by a recent immigrant from the same 3 places. Like, what are we talking about? It has nothing to do with diet, vaccines. It's got everything to do with the cut of the cloth. And it's just the way it is. Sucks, but there's no point in ignoring it anymore. It's like right in your face all the time. Boomer, you're not an immigration sympathizer. I'm just saying. So that's what some people say. Anyway, let's move on.
Well,
before I get in more shit.
Huntington stabbings was something that came up, and
the train station, yeah,
and that's absolute crazy. Is those 2 people just indiscriminately stabbing people on a train?
Yeah,
and when this happened, you had members in elected positions saying, "Let's not jump to conclusions. Let's not talk about this."
Yeah,
like, people fucking got stabbed.
9 of them, 9 people killed.
No, I think it was 11 people taken to hospital.
Was it
nobody
9?
died.
Oh, I thought it was 9 killed. Okay, yeah. Well,
no,
still.
Two patients remain in life-threatening condition as of yesterday,
Okay.
and they're saying that this has nothing to do with the terrorist-related
I mean,
attack. Maybe not, but then
I cannot repeat my thoughts on this on the show. I've already said enough, but
well,
you know,
if you're look, I would be scared if I was on these trains
totally.
and witnessed this. I wouldn't want to go on another train again.
You'd never get on a train again. You'd never get on a bus. You'd never get on a train. You'd never
Yeah.
use public transit. And why should you?
And public transit, just generally, it's pathetic. I could take the subway in Toronto, for instance.
Mhm.
It's fucking brutal.
Yeah.
But
It's a mental hospital. There's an admission by Olivia Chow that it is a rail mental hospital.
Well,
how
they
do we know
have-
this? Because we send social workers onto
Yeah.
it to make sure that no one has a mental breakdown. Like that's what you see in an asylum, not on a train. Like there's no explaining it to these people. And again, there's an outstanding tweet from a few weeks ago. The problem with arguing with the left is that dialogue and discourse are impossible because they just pretend not to understand what the problem is. And so that's how you wind up with people just disconnecting from society, not taking the train anymore, not getting on a bus. That's what happens. That's the outcome.
And unfortunately, the problem is it's now compounded because it's going to be more costly to buy a car if they continue in the direction of limiting how many new internal combustion engine cars there are. Then you're forced to buy an electric, and that's more costly. Then you have to deal with, do we have enough electricity to power that? So then you're almost funneled back to these public transit options because you just don't have the funding to buy a new car or a jalopy out there that's used, because it won't last very long. So you're basically back to square one, where you're taking the train again and you're just dealing with the degenerates on it.
Yeah.
These are the commoners, right? These are the people that just Joe Blows that are just trying to get to and from work, to and from school, to and from an event,
Shocker.
right? Like,
it's crazy, man. It's crazy that this is allowed. It's crazy that it's like defended by an entire part of the political establishment.
It's going to become a point where you have a mass flight of people. People are already moving to Mexico,
but they can't. The UK
else.
today just put in a minimum 20% exit tax. Did you see that? Like they know what they're doing is driving competent people away, and they're like,
people still pay that.
Yeah,
you know what? If push comes to shove, people will say, "Fuck it, I'll fucking pay that."
Yeah.
Is it worth it? Because
I think so too.
Physical and mental health is worth far more than the 20% I'd have to pay.
Totally. What would it take for you right now? Like me and you, I remember when we were just starting the show, we did an event for Shake Pay and we took the train to Toronto. You remember that?
Yeah, that was the GO train.
Would you still do when was the last time you were on a GO train? Would you get on a GO train now?
100%. A GO
really,
train. Yeah. I think it weeds out a lot of the riffraff that you get on the TTC because of the cost. I'm not to say it's perfect, but it's just pound for pound, it's better than the TTC.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll take the GO train any day. In fact, last time I took it was a year ago. It's been a while, but I would do it again. I was almost going to take it again September this year, but I got to drive to Toronto. So
great.
Yeah.
Should we wrap with Hamilton Brampton man here or what?
You don't want to talk about Supreme Court coming out with their child pornography?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Introduce it.
We'll talk about that.
Story. Yeah. Okay.
Carney apologizing. CBC having 81% of their new hires, or 84% of their new hires being Indigenous people.
Okay, let's keep rolling. We'll go to 140. Fuck it. Why not? Those are good stories.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that one right now. The CBC report came out. That's for last fiscal year, and the new people they hired, 84%, 84.1 to be specific, fell in a category of Indigenous peoples, persons with disabilities, and racialized people. Their target was 65%, so they far exceeded that. So I have to give them
A+. Great.
84 is definitely an A, right? So yeah, there we go. Is it reflective of the product that there's?
Amazing.
I have to admit, when I drive to work, I sometimes listen to CBC radio because it just fucking stirs me. And you got to get that information. You got to like figure it. There was something I can't remember what it was, but there was something big going on, and they just didn't even fucking cover it. It was they were covering some stupid, I fucking can't even say type event. It's just like they are just shoveling garbage down people's throats,
Yeah.
and they're losing viewership and listenership and subscribership like crazy.
Don't forget, they're
Unbelievable.
suing right now to keep the number of paying subscribers to CBC Gem private.
I love that. It's a
They're
fucking
suing.
publicly funded.
Yeah.
Oh, we can't fucking give that information. No, that's gonna
Is it less than 500? You think?
paying, because
Yeah.
there's the free and the paying, right? So if you're gonna go with the
Paying subs to CBC Gem, it's got to be less than 500.
no, I'm gonna go above that for sure.
1,000? They're suing to keep the number private. So
I'll say
reasonable
2,500.
number.
I'll go with 2,500 people. That's
Yeah.
a country of 42 million. Whatever the fuck we're at.
Unknown.
5
Unknown
million
total.
are probably hardcore CBCers.
Yeah.
2,500,
But they're poor. The hardcore CBCers are poor.
But there's some like professors.
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like, they
I
just-
really think that number's super low. I really do. We're gonna find out at some point. So we can talk about the child porn thing. How many things can we say to become absolutely nuked by the algorithm today? I don't know, but there's a couple hundred people watching, so I don't care. The child porn ruling upset me quite a bit when I first saw it, but I've tempered my response because as some people in the replies to the tweet point out, the big problem with mandatory sentences for child porn is that it doesn't really account for the 18-year-old with a 17-year-old girlfriend and them trading pictures. I have been in that situation. My first girlfriend was younger than me by a few years. And so like, thankfully we didn't have smartphones back then, but should I be jailed for a year minimum at 18 if my 17-year-old girlfriend sends me a picture?
Well,
That's the rationale for removing it. Now, I don't know how many cases they have like that. Obviously, I don't know that, but that is the rationale because by definition, that is CP. It's being traded. You have an adult and a minor. Like it meets the criteria for the minimum sentence. So what do you do with that? Do you?
I don't know. I think it's different. I think I don't want to justify this,
Yeah.
but if it's a one-way street, if there was no solicitation and they was sent over to the 18-year-old,
yeah.
maybe you might be okay. But if that
What if you're
18-year-old
trading?
sent it to a
What if you're
friend,
trading pictures? What if you're
then
trading
it
pictures?
could be problematic, and you have to
Or-
know the laws.
Not if you're. No, I don't mean you're trading it to a friend. I mean you and your girlfriend are trading.
You got to know the
pictures.
laws, man.
Like this is the thing, right? So do you deserve a 1-year sentence for that? You know, you're 18 in a day and she's 17 in 364 days. Like, what do you do? This is making me sound crazy. I realize that, but I have been in that situation. And I will tell you that I don't know what the law should be. Mandatory. I have no idea.
Make it mandatory and to hell with it. Some
And
people
you throw some out, I guess. Or you just change the. You know, you can make a case for romantic interest. I have no idea. I really am not sure how the law works, but
just
there
some
should
things-
be a like the thing is that if you get caught with like, I don't want to say real child porn, but child porn the way you and I understand it, a year is not long enough. You know,
No, that's
like
a mandatory.
mandatory minimum, but the mandatory
Right.
minimum, a year is not long enough for that.
I agree.
If you're distributing child pornography, like you need to be
we've
like
had
under the
cases
jail.
that we've had cases we talked about in this show where people they had their sentence reduced because it would impact their immigration status.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
So those type of cases, you throw out the immigration status because now you have a mandatory minimum to set that there's a floor here, and if it goes
Okay.
above that, all the more power, man.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yep.
So like we have to. I'm not sure if it's a deterrent because let's be honest, there are states that have the death penalty and people still do crimes that result in them being executed.
hmm
So clearly it's not totally a deterrent, but I guess those people, they might have mental issues. I have no fucking
Yeah,
clue.
of course.
But at the very least, you're taking them off the streets.
Yeah.
And you're not, if they're behind bars, they're not going to be doing this. You'd hope not. Maybe they do this. I have no idea what goes on in fucking jails. But in my mind, this shit doesn't happen in jails.
Okay.
And then we feel better as fucking taxpayers, as Canadians. Like, and it wasn't like it was a slam dunk. It was a 5-4 decision.
Yeah. It was
Right?
close.
It was fucking very close.
And people are pointing to like the sort of Trudeau era judges being the ones who voted against the mandatory minimum. I'm giving you the case for not having a mandatory minimum. I am not a liberal, by any definition. And so I don't know. I think there's, unbelievably, I think there's something to this removing the mandatory minimum. I don't know the laws around this though, really. Like, there must be some exemption or loophole for people in a, relationship. You can look back at text messages or whatever and see like, yeah, these people are, they're in love or what, I don't know what the term would be, but it's like, what do you do? Right. This is also like a sort of a digital era, behavior, right? The sort of swapping of, explicit photos, wasn't happening 15 years ago. Was it happening 15 years ago? It probably was actually, but 20 years ago, it wasn't happening. I don't think, unless it was on MSN Messenger. So anyway,
Carney apologized about the Reagan ad, right?
I did see that. I don't care about this really.
No, there's a lot to this. There's two pieces that are very interesting. But
a lot to it, you say? Okay, I'm all ears. Hit me.
He said he told Ford not to go ahead with the ad.
Yeah.
So he's saying this publicly. So now you have there's a rift between him and Doug Ford.
There's no rift.
Well,
these guys are smart. They know that no one's going to talk about this in a week. So they just say whatever they want and that's it.
The beautiful thing about this, Carney, he came in with no cards. Now he has cards. We had not too long ago, who was it saying that Zelensky should be fucking apologizing? Was it Vance? Vance was saying.
Yeah.
Right now you have this guy apologizing.
Have you said sorry even once?
I see that, right? Yeah, this guy does apologize, right? So he's willing to play ball. He's got cards. He wants to play. So there you go. So good on Carney for doing this. And they had dinner afterwards.
Let's get out of here. Talk about some Hamilton members. Man, brought to you by
256heat.com.
Got the shirt on today. Tuan told me he's selling and installing another unit Wednesday. If you haven't got one yet, I don't know what you're doing. Tuan was saying that he's having trouble shipping the S9s because they're a little finicky. So if you're local, he will make it happen for you, man. He'll come to your house to install it, I think, in some cases. So take advantage of that. Buy one. And even if you're not local, sort out the shipping. Pay for a crate or something. I don't know. Find a way to get it to you because you want one of these things. This thing's just running behind me at all times. Just a few thousand sats every day. Easy peasy. And you don't think about it. KYC free, baby. 256 seat.
All right. So Brampton versus Hamilton, man. You can play along at home. People like this particular segment. And you know what? We may expand it for the Christmas episode. We might do a nationwide one.
We're going around the world.
No, not world. Around the horn.
Me and Len are actually just streaming a game of Monopoly on Christmas Eve. We'll be playing for a few hours.
I love playing Monopoly.
So do I. Actually, I love Monopoly.
I played a fucking ton of it when I was my teens. Anyways, let's talk about this woman who is charged after throwing vomit at a cabbie. And this 24-year-old woman is facing charges after throwing her own vomit at the taxi driver following a night of drinking.
Taxi or Uber? Taxi?
Taxi.
Okay.
And just after 2 a.m. on a Saturday night, a drunk woman was riding in a taxi with a number of other people, and she got sick, started vomiting inside a cab. And she was told that she'd have to pay a cleaning fee for this. The woman became very upset, decided to hurl her vomit, and assaulted the driver, the police say.
Wow.
Yeah, she did it in a few ways. And the woman tried running away from the cab, but was located and arrested by police. She was charged with assault level 1 and mischief under $5,000.
Okay.
So there you go. That's the story number 1. And story number 2 is a shorty, but I found it to be fucking hilarious. This guy was charged with witchcraft. Police say that this guy was charged because there was fraud for pretending to practice witchcraft. And investigators alleged the suspect was taking money for witchcraft-related services at his home.
Easy. I got this nailed down. I got this nailed down.
Charges a fraud of under $5,000 in pretending to practice witchcraft, and he was due in court to he's offering those services for more than a year. So he had a number of different clients out there that were impacted by this, and the police are asking for alleged victims or anybody else with information to come forward so they could add this to the pile of charges against this man. So here we go. We have the tossing of the vomit, and we have the witchcraft dude. Who's the Hamilton? Who's the Brampton person?
When I was like 23, I was dating this girl. Not dating, but we were like fooling around or whatever. Lindsay, I won't say her last name. And I was at Hess Village pursuing another interest of mine. And as I was getting ready to leave with the other interests, Lindsay stumbled out of a bar called Diablo's and wrapped her arms around my neck and was like, I'm ready to go. Let's go home. And so I left with Lindsay, and Lindsay threw up in the cab on the way home. And we had to go to the manual car wash on Mohawk and Upper Wellington in Hamilton. And I had to wash the floor mats of the car
Disgusting.
because the cab driver wouldn't do it. And I had to, obviously I paid for the pleasure of doing so. Plus I gave the guy another $100 because the smell, this is not going to leave the cab anytime soon. When we got back to Lindsay's house, I had already been there a few times and kind of like knew her living situation. She was living with not her parents, but like her aunt and uncle were local. Her parents lived a little further away down in northern Ontario. And I was literally like fireman carrying her into her house through her garage. I knew the code for the garage. And I got inside. She was wasted, so wasted, like barely coherent. And her uncle was awake. What does this guy think I'm doing now? He thinks I'm taking advantage of this girl, dragging her in through the garage door. She can't even open her eyes. And he knows I've been there before. Brutal situation. Throwing up in the cab leads to terrible outcomes 100 times out of 100. No matter what the situation, throwing up in the cab is unforgivable. It's unforgivable. I never saw Lindsay again after that night, by the way.
You didn't throw the vomit out at the
I never
cab
saw her
driver?
again. We were supposed to go to Ottawa for a friend of mine's graduation. She was going to be my date. I ended up going to Ottawa by myself and picking up some girl off Tinder to bring to the banquet. That's a true story. Anyway, I will say that the cab is the Hamilton man and the witch doctor is the Brampton man.
Oh, you're 100% correct.
Knew it.
Yeah.
Who's practicing witchcraft though?
I
have not
don't
talked about
know.
the witchcraft Brampton man before.
Yogendra Pathak. Anyways,
Huh.
that's the witchcraft dude. I would love to get involved in that. Maybe we could use him to help us figure out when to buy Bitcoin, when to sell Bitcoin.
He's an analyst. He's my quant.
Do you think he would have told us about that whole drainage from what was that thing that was just got nuked today?
What? Mark was talking about it. Balancer or something?
Balancer?
Yeah.
Because if he could give you some insight and think of all the people that got wrecked as a result of that.
Yeah.
You know, DeFi is a sketchy thing, but if you could time it right when you're getting all your gains and you just pull out before you get wrecked, this guy might be able to give you some tips. Right?
We need a witch doctor on staff.
And
CBP.
what you could do with those winnings, take a cab, fucking just get ripped at a bar and then fucking start throwing a vomit at you, unleashing the cab at the driver.
Dip and rip with what was the guy's name? Gerf something?
Pathic?
Gervnat Pathic coming on.
fucking...
Anyway, that's it. Len might be back Wednesday. He might not be. Good luck, everyone, tomorrow. Enjoy budget day for all those who celebrate, and congratulations.
Are you buying
Mayor...
new shoes?
No.
I
Congratulations to Mayor Mamdani too.
I should have worn my shitty shoes, but
I wore my blue shoes to the wedding on the weekend. Anyway, that's it. God bless. Take care of yourselves. Talk to you soon.
Take care.